And welcome everybody to the Loki and Jabroni Show. This is a special Monday night edition, and what makes it special is one, our guest, and two, unfortunately, we're without Loki tonight. So tonight, it's the Focus and Jabroni Show, and with me, we let him out of the box. He actually ate food. He's feeling pretty good about himself. The one and only producer extraordinaire, Mr. Eddie Focus. Eddie, how are you tonight?
I'm good.
Good. You look
I'm
good.
good. Aside from forgetting equipment again,
Yeah, but you know what, guys? What you're
but
seeing here is what is it like?
it's low
Very
tech night.
crazy glue and bubble gum
It's
type
low
thing.
tech night.
Yeah, it is. All you folks on audio only are missing out on the fun. If you're watching on YouTube, there's no special gimmicks
Well,
all around us.
they're gonna have more fun because
Y-
they're gonna get the bells and whistles.
That's true. Whereas you
Yeah.
guys won't. Audio only. You got the song at the open of the show. We're not going to do an open. This is it. This is the open right here. Screw it. We're
This is
going
it.
hot and
We're
heavy.
open.
And at 7:25, we will be picking up the gimmick phone and calling Joey Cassata. He of this book, Start with a Dream. And I had so much fun reading this book. I'm so glad I got to know Joey over the last few weeks. It's a fantastic read. Did you get a chance to look at any of the writings of Joey Cassata over the last week?
I had cliff notes, but they're on the equipment I left at home.
Understood. Hello? What'd you take away from it, if I may ask?
Impressive.
Mm,
Very impressive.
everything
Um,
he went through.
yeah. Just some of the things he got to do, one can only dream of, and some of the things he had to go against. Whew.
Oh man,
Yeah.
I took a lot away, and I'll say it when Joey gets here. But I told him in a text message how much his life paralleled my life in so many ways. And when we talk to him, we'll certainly get a feel for that. He's just a couple years younger than we are, but he's done a hell of a lot more than we have. And I'm just glad to know him, glad to have him on the show. But as we do each and every single week, we're going to start with what's on our mind. And Ed, I'm sure you have something burning it up right now on your mind.
Well, I don't watch the Academy Awards
I'm sure we're going to have
because
a similar story.
of obvious reasons. It's basically it's not fun anymore.
No.
And this one was a recipe for disaster. I mean, no host because of tweets,
Yep.
and just everything is like award. I hate the president. Award. I hate the president.
Oh, thank
Award.
you.
I hate the president. But not to be totally negative. Very happy. Remy Malik, best actor for playing Freddie Mercury.
Mm-hmm.
So
Very impressive.
I'm happy with
Big
that.
ups.
Uh, film editing questionable.
Why? Because there were. I'm trying to remember who it was today. It might have been Ben Shapiro.
Yeah.
Said, "Oh, film editing. I see what you did there. What was so? What's so sideways about it?
Uh, I I think it. But didn't it also get audio editing or something?
Possibly.
It got something with the audio. The only credit I'll give it for editing is, and I don't even know if that's so much editing is the Live Aid performance. The way they did that
Mm-hmm.
was spot on.
Sure.
But I don't know.
Look, but at the same time, you have to look back at other musical biopics like Ray. Do you think that was all Jamie Foxx? I'm one to say no.
No.
Go to in just a month, Netflix is going to have the Dirt Motley Crue's movie. Do you think those kids are doing all the singing?
No.
No. So yes, there's a lot of pantomime going on. Yes, there's going to be some slick editing. And you know what? If you can make Rami Malek and the hard work he put in look that good, where you watch them side by side, whoever did that video on YouTube was a genius, by the way.
Yeah.
Side by side, Rami Malek's and Freddie Mercury's, the movements are damn near spot on. There's a little glitch here, a little glitch there, but you know what? He's acting.
If you have, I don't know if you got like the Blu-ray or anything.
I haven't.
I just bought it. That was my. I was like, you know what? The guys said this movie was worth it, so I just grabbed it and bought it.
Mhm.
So if you got the Blu-ray, there's an extra feature where they have the whole performance,
Oh wow,
like that
the
for the
entire
movie.
Live Aid. Oh, for the
For the
movie.
movie,
They. Oh wow. Okay.
they recreated that whole performance in the actual movie. When it came out, it's kind of truncated, but the whole thing is on there.
Wow. So they filmed more than what we saw in the
Yeah,
film.
they did the whole thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
That would have taken up 30 minutes of the film. I like what they did
The
with the two songs and then out.
if you don't count when Brian May and Freddie Mercury come back at the end of the night, the performance is like 24 minutes.
Okay.
And I think they were supposed to only have a 15-minute set, but they let him just go with it because
They were
like
wildly the
when
best
Freddie's
thing.
in the zone, You don't get in the way.
No one's gonna stop him.
No.
No, not at
But
all.
the highlight of the Oscars, two words for you: menstruation equality.
Oh God, when period end of sentence one. Look, I'm with you.
Oh,
I don't watch the
oh my
Oscars.
god.
Never have.
I used to
Eh,
love that kind of
Not
stuff.
me,
I used to.
because it was, and the same thing last night. I watched the last 45 minutes of it. Angela loves it. She's in her room. I'm hanging out with the kid. We're playing cards. Kid falls out on me. So I go in the room. Like, where are we at? Oh, there's only like 5 awards left. Okay, cool. The things that piss me off about the Oscars, number one, with the exception of the dudes, most of the dudes are well dressed. Tuxedo, tie. Sometimes it's a really fancy suit. The women are wearing dresses that will never be seen again. You just spent $200,000 on something that looks like an Easter peep that you're never gonna fucking wear again. You don't look like a Disney princess. You look like a cupcake on one of these cooking shows. The truffle here and the pink gimmick schnibbits. Nobody wants it. I hate it. But in the last few years, I do watch the greatest hits version on morning television.
Mhm.
It's more political this year than it ever has been. If I hear one more person, you know what? I'm sitting there watching, what movie was it? Black Panther or Black Klansman? Black Klansman
I haven't seen that
wins an
yet.
award. Uh, Most boring movie of all time, but I dug it. It was a decent film. So Spike Lee takes no time getting to the microphone. 400 years ago, and my people, first of all, stop. You have never been a slave. Yes, his grandmother, from what I understand, went through great grandmother. I don't remember. You're living good, Spike. You got more money than any other African American human being in the history of human beings from African American descent. Stop. It's over. I understand there's oppression everywhere. Yes, women are oppressed. African Americans are oppressed. Chinese folk are oppressed. Eddie's oppressed. I'm oppressed. Be proud of your accomplishment. You hold that award up and you say, you know what, man, this is worth it. And thank you to everybody who voted, and thank you to everybody who saw the film. And God bless America, or God bless, assalamu alaikum, alaikum shalom, and go buy my book.
I do think it's funny, and he said something at some interview. Seems like every time he's nominated for Best Picture, like he's been nominated for Best Picture before,
Oh yeah,
he he loses to a movie about somebody driving someone in a car.
yeah.
Can
Didn't
you
do
get
the right thing. Lose to Driving Miss Daisy.
yes?
Okay.
And this year he loses to
Green Book,
Green Book, which I want to
fantastic
see. I
film.
haven't seen
Oh
it. I
my
want to see
god,
it though. It looked really good.
not well. Okay, two.
I hate to say this though, not to cut you. I
Good.
hate to say this. I don't know. It probably because it got so politicized when it was out. I'm glad Black Panther didn't win Best Picture.
Okay.
I hate to say it. I'm glad it didn't win
I
because
was less upset. I'm watching it, and as soon as Rami Malek got Best Actor, I'm like, yeah, he deserves it. Not that the others weren't just as good, but man, he was amazing.
it was a tough call because I just saw A Star Is Born.
Oh, Angela watched that the other night. I
Yeah,
haven't seen it yet.
we rented it on YouTube. You can rent movies on YouTube,
Mm.
and we rented it the morning of the Oscars yesterday, and I watched it, and I was kind of torn because I totally because Cooper was nominated, right? Yeah,
Yes,
Bradley
yes, he
Cooper.
was. As was Lady Gaga on the other side.
I would have probably given it to Cooper. Like he's that good. And but I'm really happy Malik got it because he just went full Mercury
Oh
on
yeah,
Freddie. So
oh yeah, absolutely. And going to Best Picture, as they're announcing, they show throughout. Well, I guess they did it throughout the night. I only saw three of them. The greatest hits clips of the films.
yeah,
Great to see Mike Meyer and Dana Carvey come out and give Bohemian Rhapsody a little love. Hats off to them. We're not worthy. I'm less upset that Green Room actually beat Bohemian Rhapsody than I would be if Black Panther, Black Klansman. I haven't seen. What is the one I haven't seen? Roma.
mhm,
Not seen Roma, but I've seen the other four films. All fantastic films. I thought Bohemian Rhapsody was that much better. But in terms of what the Academy looks for every single year, and it's going to be the touchy feely movie, not that Green Room was touchy feely, but Vigo Mortensen is an amazing actor, but he just was James Gandolfini with a pulse in this particular film rather
yeah,
than being a true character. he just channeled every Italian character ever in the
Yeah.
history of ever for this film. He didn't go
He
on a
looked
limb.
he looked very
Right.
stereotype.
And he
Yeah.
didn't exactly go out on a limb.
Yeah.
Whereas Rami Malek has to play this iconic musician, probably one of the forefronts of gay men or gay anybody coming out, being comfortable with themselves, putting himself out on a
He
stage
he
every single
he got
night.
some shit for that.
Who, Rami Malek?
Yeah.
Why?
Because he, I guess in his speech he mentioned gay people and positively, and
Okay.
somebody said he was like bi erasing Freddie Mercury.
Shut the fuck up.
So
Oh
like
my, not you, but the general public.
no, because remember rewinding when someone was like, "Oh, he's bisexual." Oh, they're gay erasing. Like
Give me a second. Horse shit. Oh, the button doesn't work in this gimmick.
it should work.
Oh, it didn't
It's
work
not
for
a
me.
button; it's a knob.
The knob can kiss my knob.
No,
Well, hold on.
that
You know
that.
what? I'm not playing with it. I'm just saying horse shit, horse shit, horse
God,
shit.
and you
I'm not
sounded.
fucking around. We need a new producer. Horse shit. Oh, that was good. Oh,
Yeah,
that was real good.
I know.
Can I do it again?
You still want a new producer?
No.
All
I'm
right
gonna
then.
stick with the one I was gonna call
Here,
the guy from Zap,
here,
but
here.
then everybody would zing down bone it ding
Uh,
down. Horse
wow.
I
So
like the reverb, man. That's
well,
good.
the further you turn it, the more it'll
Okay,
reverb.
got
So
it now.
but on Black Panther, I think the awards it did get, it deserved. I think it's a visually beautiful movie,
Absolutely.
and the the I don't the music, yeah,
Now,
I'll buy it. The music in Black Panther is
did
really
you
good.
watch the entire Oscars or just a
I just
portion?
read about. I just
Okay,
watch. I don't watch it because I don't want to listen to the speeches.
having watched 45 minutes of it, it was like everybody's chance to take a shot at the president.
Yeah, that's all it is.
Let it the fuck go. Do you think if the president gets a humanitarian award, may I borrow your Red Bull for a second there, sir?
It's empty.
I got this award. It's the best award ever. It's huge.
It's bigly.
And it's bigly. This is the most bigly trophy ever. And fuck Black Panther and fuck Spike Lee. He doesn't care. And do you think when the MVP of the Super Bowl, be it Tom Brady, Julian Edelman, whomever, raises that trophy, they're like, hey, you know what? Played a great game. Fuck Donald Trump. No. The reason that famous folk like actors and musicians piss me off is that we watch them to be entertained. Nobody's learning a fucking thing from an actor, a musician, or an entertainer. Nothing. That's why Sinead O'Connor doesn't have a career. She wanted to be all political. What happened? Straight in the dumpster. She's probably a line cook in England somewhere when she's not doing her Quran
You know what
bit.
they fail to realize too when they do this kind of stuff, and this is something Michael Jordan knew early, because he wouldn't get political, and people used to give him crap about it, and his response was Republicans buy sneakers too.
Yep,
So that's what they don't understand. Like Republicans watch movies too,
of course.
but not saying that only Republicans get pissed off this kind of thing, but it, we had 8 years of utter silence about the
Oh,
prior
everybody
president.
was afraid. You can't if you
If somebody did that, so I think Vince Vaughn or one of them, they're like conservatives, and they got up on stage and made a crack about Barack Obama. He'd be racist, they'd be
oh yeah.
prejudiced. It's like, oh, attacking a sitting president during wartime, like all kinds of shit. Like the hypocrisy
We're
is
in
deep.
wartime because of the Republican came before him. But nobody wants to point that
Oh,
out.
it never ends.
Nobody wants to point out, and fantastic point on you on the Oscars. Nobody wants to point out that Bush Sr., Clinton, Bush Jr., and Obama all called for tighter border security. Everybody's like, yeah, we need more border
Border
security.
security used to be a Democrat thing.
Right. And now all of a sudden we have I call him a kind of Republican. I don't think Donald
Oh,
Trump is full
Trump's a New
on.
York Democrat.
There you
He
go.
really
But he
is.
ran on the Republican ticket. He wins. He's a kind of Republican. Now, because everybody has this hatred toward Trump, and we're in this wussified state of America that we have been just deriding for 4 years now, everybody's, oh, he wants to build a wall. How can you do that? Well, just 8 years ago, y'all were calling for tighter border security. Here's a man that's actually putting mind to muscle to do it. And hey, he's the devil? No, man, look in the mirror. Look in the fucking mirror.
Here's the thing, like they claim like, oh no, we all want more secure borders, but we a wall.
And
Well,
do you see the picture I put up
put put
just today?
put up, give a better suggestion. Then nobody's given any other suggestions. It's just not Trump.
They
The
put a
suggestion is not Trump, is what it is.
they put a fence around the theater where the Oscars were going to be, so no undesirables got in. That's okay. Heaven forbid George Clooney get attacked, but basic everyday Americans, this is look, I'm not saying everybody that comes across the border is a criminal. They're not.
Yeah.
There are some people that come across, do the right thing, get vetted, get their citizenship. They're trying to find a new life and a better life, and they work their ass off. But for those that come over, rape, pillage, steal, sell drugs, and murder, no, not having it. But how do you tell one from the other? If you look at somebody, hey, I'm looking at you right now. You look like a killer. You can't come into my country. I'm a racist. I'm a bigot. I'm this and I'm that. But if I let you in and he kills a bunch of people, it's like, oh, well, that's one in 1,000. You can't have it both ways. We just talked about people not having it both ways earlier. If you
But
want to touch on
they
that,
want it both ways. They want here's the thing, they want this huge gigantic welfare state and open borders. You can't have both. You can't.
I fear for a world as we were, as we were ready, waiting to go hot. We were listening to Ben Shapiro, Billy Asselmar, a
Oh god.
couple of different things, and I just gotta say, I think it was Ben Shapiro that said it. I fear for a world where AOC is president.
Oh god, yeah.
Oh my lord! You think shit's bad now, and it's not. Things are good now. Yes, people are all up in arms and triggered over this, and nobody can say certain terms, or else they get fired. Or
You know what scares me about her being president? She's the type person, or the first time she gets a legislation shot down in the Congress,
Mhm.
she'd be the first one to say something like, "Well, if they're going to shoot down my legislation, we really shouldn't have a Congress." She's the type of person to say that kind of thing.
Corrupt power, corrupt. I mean, absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Actually, speaking of Ben Shapiro, he said it. He said it best. The first news article that came out, she was doing something shady with like campaign money.
Mhm.
First thing Ben Shapiro said is, "Welcome to the swamp."
Ooh,
That's what
I
he
like
said.
it.
Yeah, she's in the swamp. I think they're all swamp
Of
monsters. So it's
course,
like I'm like, listen, just because you came from the Bronx does not mean you're not corruptible.
right.
You're very corrupt. She's more corruptible because she's younger.
You ever been to the Bronx? I have dozens of times. Yankee Stadium is right in the heart of the city.
Yeah.
Love it.
Well,
But it doesn't mean that the further you get away
the
from the city, the
the
shittier it gets, and you are like walking with
the
one hand on
decent
your wallet and the other hand making like you have a gun
the decent on it politicians don't exist. Why?
because politicians are corrupt from the beginning.
They come from the public.
Hmm.
You have greedy, selfish citizens. You get greedy, selfish
If
politicians.
anybody can name me a 100% dyed in the wool, God fearing, never had a scandal politician, never raised taxes, never whatever, they don't keep their campaign promises, I might kiss your ass in the middle of Times Square at rush hour.
Calvin Coolidge.
Really, never broke a campaign promise.
He never made them.
Really?
Well, first of all, he took over Warren Harding, which was a scandalous presidency. He was the vice president. He
Correct.
took over for Warren Harding. He spent most of his presidency cleaning up the corruption. He never made campaign promises, and he
Okay.
never he never really sought reelection.
So that kind of is not. It's. I
He
get
he
your
he
viewpoint, but it
he
skews the
he was
viewpoint.
he was the perfect small government president because he would not he vetoed everything. The only thing he approved was like some farmer subsidy because he did they had the votes to override his veto,
Okay.
and so he passed that. That's the most he ever really did. A lot of
Okay.
people blame him for um, the recession later, but that's in dispute. But
Whatever.
he just kind of he cleaned up the White House
Hmm.
and he just kept things going. And there was a small depression of 21, I think, prior, and
Okay.
he didn't dump a bunch of policies like afterwards to like rebound, just kind of let it repair itself. He was a very quiet guy. In fact, there's a story of somebody that sat down next to him at some function and he was just sitting there all quiet. He goes, I've got a bet with so and so that I can make you say more than two words. And Calvin Coolidge looked at him and goes, "You lost." He was known as Silent Cal.
Well, yeah.
That's the kind of president I want. One that doesn't do anything, one that knows his place, knows what function he serves, and sticks to it.
I can't look back, and as much as I dug Slick Willie as a president, I can't look back in my lifetime, starting with being born, Richard Nixon's the president, everything I've learned up till today, and see that we had an honest president.
No.
And couple that with the House, the Senate, the Congress, all fucking crooks.
Well, I said this recently to somebody. People don't want the truth. They don't want to be told the truth.
No.
You know who told the truth? Ron Paul told the truth. People didn't want to hear it. They really
Agreed.
didn't. They didn't want to hear it.
Agreed. I think Ross Perot may have stretched the truth, but never outright lied, and had a chance.
Yeah, if he
But
well, if he had
we will
stuck
never
with it,
find
if he
out. Yeah.
stuck with it, he probably would have won. It's because he dropped out, then dropped back in, and I think people were like, "Well, what if we elect this guy and he drops out?" And
Well, once you're
and
elected, yeah. Well,
well, no, you can quit
I know you
anytime.
can.
And then people are like, "What if we get stuck with who am I and why am I here?"
Mhm.
Which
Right.
Stockdale, if we got stuck
Did
with Stockdale,
Admiral Stockdale? I forgot that was his running mate.
yeah, that would have been bad. But
Oh, well, I'm gonna make mine quick because we have 9 minutes before we go live with Joey Cassata. If you're joining us on YouTube, thank you for joining. If you're joining us later when Joey's on, thank you. If you're audio only, not only did I just burp in your ear, but Joey Cassata will be here in 9 minutes. Oh man, the only thing right now on my mind, and it just I know we just talked a lot of politics, and I really don't want to get into it, but maybe some of you guys might want to hit the email, hit our page. I want to ask you guys a question, and then I'll find the little quote on my gimmick machine about what I want to talk about in regard to last week. Is AOC as stupid as she looks, or is it all a dream? Now, I'm going to read something that a listener sent to me over the last week since our AEW episode. I asked him if I could use it. He said yes. So he said the last podcast was great. Uh, as I'm listening to it, I'm at the tag team portion and how to keep AEW afloat. I haven't heard anything about NXT because of the main card was anything like the hour long NXT with Gargano and Champa, Aleister Black, Velveteen Dream, and the tag team War Machine, Undisputed Era. Every time I watch TakeOver, I'm blown away. Why can't they do this on the main roster? So I think what Kevin is saying, and thank you, Kevin, for your feedback. And then there was a whole lot more that Kevin and I talked about in this little exchange. NXT is doing it right. AEW is probably going to use the same formula. Whereas once you get to the main roster, the Raw and the SmackDown on the WWE side, it's just basically we're going to feed you whatever bullshit we want and you're going to eat it. You're going to pay the $75 for a ticket for you and the family. It's now $300 to go to a WWE show, whereas the NXT shows, and I'm sure the AEW shows are going to be priced.
which you can buy tickets through the LokiandJabroni.com.
Tell them how.
Go to LokiandJabroni.com, click event tickets in the search bar, buy your tickets.
There you go. I think what Kevin is saying is that AEW and conversely, even though it's a WWE brand, NXT is doing all the right things to capture the people. Now you build all these stars, and a lot of the NXT stars that have come up have done phenomenally. However, once they get to the top, they're either pushed to the moon or you forget about them in 12 minutes. I think Kevin wants to see AEW be a fantastic contender going forward for the WWE. I don't think it's going to be a straight up competition like WCW was because they had the advantage of being the NWA and then Turner buys them in 88 and then in 95. From 95 to 2001 they were a legit contender. There hasn't been a not contender, competitor. Hasn't been a legit competitor since. I think we all need competition. The Yankees need the Red Sox. The Falcons need the Saints. The Celtics need the Lakers. Kiss needs Kanye. And that's just for me and you, bud. Everybody needs a
No,
competitor,
Kiss does need Kanye,
and Kanye needs Kiss. They everybody needs competition because if you're the only dog in the fight, you always win, and people are
and
just
nobody
gonna
improves either.
exactly. Now they can say, "Well, we have three operative brands." No, you don't. You have one brand. It's WWE. It's all under the same umbrella.
Look at it this way. So you got McDonald's and Burger King, the top ones.
Sure.
So if Burger King didn't exist, do you think McDonald's would bother with new products?
No.
Be the same shit.
Would they be throwing bacon on everything right now?
No,
No.
maybe you've always been able to ask for bacon. It's just now they slap it on a menu. But
Sure.
there wouldn't be like the mushroom Swiss burgers and all the cool stuff like
Hmm.
that. Competition brings the best out of businesses.
It ain't sh-
Wrestling's no difference.
it ain't shit unless it's the McRib, and I'll leave it at that. I'm gonna give you a few minutes
I'll
to fly.
fight you on
I'm
that.
gonna give you like 3 minutes to fly solo. Um, just on the AEW wrestling point before we get Joe on the phone. I know we talked about it at nauseum last week, but there has to be, after hearing Kevin's comments about here's NXT, which is the feeder system although WWE umbrella. And here's AEW that's building, and I think Double or Nothing is this June. I'll have to look that up. But then, we talked about television rights and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Um, you're sitting in the big chair at the boardroom in WWE. You are Vince McMahon just dies. He's done. He's gone. He's gone. They name Eddie Focus the new head, the new chairman of WWE. You have 3 minutes. Tell me how you keep WWE at the top of the ladder. Go.
Well, first I discontinue NXT and I create Hillbilly Jim's Farm.
Okay, see, now I
And
can't leave. No, this is bullshit. Try to be serious for about 30 seconds.
so, all right, so you got NXT, which is pretty much the up and comers. They're, as the name suggests, next generation of wrestlers. So it's kind of like with college ball versus pro ball. Most people say the college ball is a little more exciting, a little more fast paced. So you got it's kind of like what we were saying before. So if AEW wants to um, be a serious competitor in the game, they got to focus on the wrestling. NXT is more focused on the wrestling, and Raw and SmackDown get more of the, for lack of a better term, the best storylines, the best drama. Occasionally NXT gets in that, but NXT is about the next generation that's going to be taking over the WWE brands. So they put more into the athleticism, more into the excitement. Um, that's what AEW has to do, and that's what I'm hoping they'll do. So um, that's really my take on it. I don't know if I can go on for 3 minutes about it, but um, I think Jabroni's coming back. So um, yeah, that's basically the summer. And we touched on this like lengthy where AEW really needs to focus on the wrestling part of it. Um,
The entertainment part will come,
yes, the entertainment. Here's the thing too: a lot of the entertainment's going to come from the wrestlers. You're going to get that guy that's like, "Well, why don't I do this?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, perfect, do that." And
which they can't do in WWE because everything's so uber scripted.
not unless you're Triple H,
Well, yeah, or one of the uber top guys. I think.
right? So do you agree? Like NXT is kind of like they're that intro to wrestling kind of thing,
Sure.
and they're more the wrestling is more of a focus and the storylines are kind of in the background, and then they're kind of
To an extent, yeah.
brought into the WWE SmackDown and Raw brands for the big ones.
To an extent, I buy that wholeheartedly, and I love the point you made. Whereas the college football versus the NFL, the game is more exciting. Why? Because they're trying to impress somebody. I want to get drafted.
They're hoping a headhunters out there.
Sure. Now, when you get to draft day, and it's like, with the first pick, the Atlanta Falcons choose Jimmy Jones from Ohio State. Jimmy Jones now reached his pinnacle. He's like, yes, I made it. Well, you can either go the route of a Dan Marino, a Peyton Manning, a Tom Brady, and be elite, or you can be Trent Dilfer. You know who Trent Dilfer is? There's a reason for that. And that's the difference. So now we're going
Is he anything like that guy you told me about? Who my buddy Frank tagged me in. The guy grabs his junk and
Oh yeah. Similar, but Trent Dilfer has a Super Bowl ring. How that happened, I'll never know. Well, he played for a team that won the Super
trip,
Bowl.
fall, land in the end zone. It's happened before.
And it happened. So we're going to go to the phone right now. We're going to dial up Mr. Joey Cassata, and we're going to get him live and happening in charge. You hear that? That's the phone.
Hello?
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, the Loki and Jabroni Show proudly brings to you rock star, television star, Broadway musician, wrestling aficionado, and now, hopefully, someday, New York Times bestselling author. But for right now, he sold me a book. His name is Joey Cassata. Joey, how are you doing tonight?
Woo! What's up, guys? How are you?
Funny you wooed on Ric Flair's birthday. I love that.
I just, believe it or not, I just texted him early. Happy birthday. You gave me a nice response back.
Why don't you text him and say there's a great podcast in Southeastern Connecticut that would love to have you?
I will. I promise.
Oh,
I
you're
will.
the best, man. So, man, this book, we've been talking about it. Start with a Dream. Wow. Just wow. 480 some pages of just one man's journey from regular, average, everyday kid from New York to where you are now, working musician. Just you've had your hands in a lot of different pies, man. How proud are you of this?
I mean, it really is. It's such an amazing accomplishment. I originally wasn't even going to release the book. I started writing this story about my life and my, just my trials and tribulations of ups and downs of my life, and I really started writing it for my kids. I was writing it just to have my story written down for them. I wasn't going to print it, wasn't going to do anything with it. Just going to literally have a PDF, and then one day, when they're old enough, they could read it, whether I was alive or not alive. And I just wanted them to have something of, just to tell the story of never give up on your dreams, work hard. When the chips are down, that's when you got to press even harder, and just literally never give up on your dreams. And then as I kept going through it and going draft after draft after draft, and I had a couple buddies kind of read it over and see what they thought, and had my wife read it over, and I was just getting such a great response and the feel good aspect of this story. I just decided to release it, and obviously, I'm sure you guys know, it was the number one Amazon bestseller. It was crazy.
Yes, I think it was number 2 when you did your live feed a couple weeks ago, and then I bought a copy, pushed it up to number 1. I'm glad I could help.
Yes, the response has been incredible, and of course, all the cool stuff that I did over the years, whether it was ZO2 or Z Rock TV show or Broadway, the best response I'm getting the response about my childhood and just everyday life growing up in the 80s, and running to the music store to buy your records, or running to Ticketron to buy wrestling tickets for Madison Square Garden, and not getting good seats and being pissed off, and stuff like that has been the biggest response.
One of the things I said to you as we've been texting over the last few weeks is how your life and my life had a similar parallel, although you have a level of success that I don't have. However, when I'm looking at your childhood and my childhood, you go to the garden, you see Snuka versus Slaughter. I saw Snuka versus Backlund. You would go see this particular show, and 5 days later, they'd swing through Connecticut, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and I'm seeing the same concert you saw 5 days earlier.
Right.
A lot of,
And
and you're not too much younger than we are. I mean, I'm 46. Ed is 42, if I'm not mistaken.
41.
41, same, doesn't matter. And
About to turn 42.
right, it's coming up. Don't forget to donate to Ed's birthday bash coming up soon. Um, it's just funny. I'm as I'm reading this book, I'm like, I did this and I did this too, and playing wiffle ball and all this crazy stuff. You are seriously, when you read other people's autobiographies. Well, I came up hard, but now let's talk about my career. You went into great detail about your early life. Was that purpose or?
Yeah, yes. I mean, again, like I said, the original inspiration behind this was just to have a memoir of my life for my kids and stuff. But so as I was writing, my childhood and stuff like that, I really wanted to start, everything that I've done in my life always led to the next moment. And it really started when I saw Peter Criss at Madison Square Garden that very first time, or when I saw Hulk Hogan beat the Iron Sheik for the title. Those moments really dictated the rest of my life. They led up to every event that happened after that. So I couldn't write about me filming my new show, Wrestling with Joey Licious, without giving the backstory of what a huge, crazy, obsessed wrestling fan I was. I mean, I don't know if you guys remember the WWF hotline back in the day.
Oh, of course.
I I used to, and this was, early, mid 80s, I guess this was 85, 84, 85, 86. I used to call, I think they used to change wrestlers every 2 hours. I would
I
call
do
every
remember
two
this.
every 2 hours, even in the middle of the night. I would make my mom wake me up. I would set my alarm, and I would get up every 2 hours to make sure I didn't miss a new message from these guys. My phone bill was, through the roof.
Of
But
course.
without telling those types of stories, the success and fun stuff that I got to do later in my life never would have had the same impact. I think, you know what I mean?
Hmm. And just going back to that hotline, I remember vividly, much like you said, every 2 hours was a new message. Getting my ass handed to me, blistered by my old man when the phone bill comes in. The hell is all this number 917 gimmick schnabitz Fernum dot. I'm like, I don't know. And he calls it, and he knows.
And then
He knows.
he found out it wasn't porn and called you a sissy boy
He
and
might have
beat
done
you up.
that.
Like, what is this sweaty men shit?
Do you wonder why I don't talk to my dad right now?
Yeah, I figured.
But
But yeah, needless to say, I was only able to do it for the first month too. I think once they got the phone bill, it was a quick end to that.
oh yeah,
I had my I would dial the Freddy Krueger line and stuff. I
Yeah.
get so much trouble.
And as you got later into the 80s, everything was a 900 number. Call 1-900 Maiden, 1-900 Kiss,
Like
Right.
1-900 Hulk Hogan,
Alyssa
Alyssa
Milano,
Milano.
Steam Queen or whatever it was. I
Right?
don't know.
And then the let's not talk about the 90s with the what is it? Midnight on Channel 61 here in Hartford.
Oh,
You know,
the party line.
the party line. I'm here
Oh my
waiting for
God,
you.
sure.
Yeah.
I'm sh-
Seriously, we're not porn.
yeah, right. Get your
But
parents.
again, that's the fun stuff about the book. It doesn't only have me doing all this fun stuff with whether it was Kiss or Roddy Piper or all this other cool stuff, but the childhood stuff where I think everyone of a certain generation can really relate to it, carrying a boombox around or listening to your Walkman every day or really buying records instead of CDs or downloads, all that stuff. You don't see many books go into that much detail about that. And like I said, the response I'm getting is people like you too said how similar our childhoods were. And I think everyone that grew up in that era, we all grew up the same way.
Sure. I mean, you were the guy who went on the train. I think it was 12 years old. We don't have trains in Connecticut except to go to New York. But I was the guy running Ticketron, getting the tickets for Hartford, finding a couple of buddies and one of their parents who didn't know what they were getting themselves into to go to see Kiss or Rat or Alice Cooper or go see WWF wrestling. The one or two times the NWA came through here, we saw Flair Steamboat in New Haven. It's just,
Wow.
yeah, it was amazing. There's just so much that I did, and you being in New York, everything's train, everything's cab. Everywhere you want to go is a token away. But still, you grow up in a certain economic background where my parents, much like your mom, they scrimp and they claw and they give the kid, hey, this is what you love. Here, go do this. I was so impressed with the stories of your mom. I felt like I knew her by the end of the book.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. That's one of the best compliments I've gotten on the book. Again, she was such a big part of my life. Without her, you know, pushing me to pursue my dreams. Again, for people who are listening to this who don't know that much about me or the book, I saw Peter Chris and I saw Hulk Hogan early on in my childhood, and those were my dreams growing up. I wanted to be a professional drummer or the heavyweight champion of the world, or possibly both. And my mom always was supportive. She would whether it was buying me wrestling tickets with her last $10 or buying the new Kiss record or getting me drums, whatever it was, she scraped and clawed and got everything that I ever needed to pursue my dreams through my whole life. And it's a very underlining story throughout the whole book that it's not just pursuing your dreams, but it's family and friends that help you along the way to accomplish those things. And later on in life, a lot of those dreams came true for me. I I was in so many bands growing up, whether it was, trying to get record deals or just playing local clubs, and finally landed a tour with my idols, Kiss, with my band ZO2. And my mom was there to support me. She was still so super sick at the time, so she wasn't able to actually come and see me and witness me on tour with Kiss. And even in my book, I have a story where Gene Simmons got on the phone with my mom, was like, "Listen, we'll send a limo. We'll get you there. Just get here and see see your son on stage, and we'll do whatever it takes to get you here." And unfortunately, she wasn't able to, and it was heartbreaking. But it still just pressed me to push forward and harder and longer every day. Work harder at hours that I put in to finally make my dreams come true.
And family, obviously, very important to everybody. I mean, I wish everybody had a mom like you had that just says, look, you have a dream, chase it. Don't conform. I mean, look, I love my mom to death, but she was that old school. Oh, that's a pipe dream. That's fine. Work on becoming an accountant or whatever the happy job of the time was. It took us till we were in our late 30s, early 40s to start this, and we love it. This is a labor of love. We treat it like a job. Whereas you're actually a working, functioning musician. I want to talk a little bit about that. Some of the bands like Playground, and then later on, I can't remember the name of the band. You had a record deal, everybody shit the bed on you. Um, talk
Right.
talk a little about the starving artist of Joey Cassata.
The early years, you mean?
Yes,
Right.
sir. Yes, sir.
listen, just like so many people out there probably listening and or, just whoever tried to pursue anything, mine happened to be music. And when you're pursuing a dream or a goal or a profession, there's going to be a lot of struggle and hard times, and you got to pick yourself up and keep going forward. There were bands, I was in dozens and dozens of bands growing up, and at the time, I didn't realize how aware I was as a small child, as I probably realize now as I wrote the book. But I was aware that even bands back then were just a stepping stone to get to the next level. But I knew I wasn't good enough to be at the next level yet, and I knew that I had to work hard in this, not so great band, and build my repertoire up and build my knowledge of the industry and the music business to get to that next level. Maybe we would succeed, but more than likely we wouldn't. But sure enough, I was going to succeed no matter what. I was going to, when that band ended, I would move on to the next band, and hopefully they'd be a peg up that ladder that I wanted to eventually climb. And each band that I tried to join or form was another peg up the ladder. And I think everyone doing anything in your life, that's what you got to do. Never go side to side or backwards. Always go forward. So if you're pursuing something, always try to play with people that are going to make you better or give you more knowledge or more insight on anything you're going to do. So yeah, so many bands that I was in, again, I grew up in the 80s, so I was into that, hard rock, Kiss and Skid Row and Bon Jovi and all that stuff. And by the time I was old enough to start really pursuing my own record deal, now you're talking 1991, 1992. So the music industry is changing at this point. So, as great as my bands were and as good as, our records and demos were, didn't matter. We were getting you're dated, you're 80s, we don't want this anymore. We want grunge, or we want this and we want that. And it was heartbreaking to know that all the work that I put into was not only getting accepted by these record companies, it was getting flat out denied, that the whole genre of music that I was playing was now considered taboo. So those struggles, it was hard to, come back from stuff like that. And in the book, when I was going through those moments and realized, oh my God, I don't know what I'm going to do. And, not that I was going to ever give up, but I didn't realize that I wasn't really having fun anymore playing my music. It was such a business to me that I wasn't having fun. So I wanted to have fun again. And I answered an ad in the Village Voice in New York City for a Kiss tribute band, just to kind of like goof around and have fun again.
Mm.
And sometimes when, you do things for the right reasons and you want to have fun rather than just business, 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 good things happen. And sure enough, that's what led me to joining my original band ZO2. The lead singer for that Kiss band, Kiss Nation, was Paulie Z from ZO2.
Mm.
And it opened up the ZO2 door for me, and we formed our own band. And it wasn't out of, I want to get a record deal and I want to get signed and, pursue, pursue, pursue. It was more out of fun and organic, just happening. And from there, like I said, we toured with Kiss. We had our own television show, Z Rock, and we achieved so many great things together. It was unbelievable.
Well, to all of the guys in Z Rock and the one who's no longer with us, God rest his soul, Z Rock got me through my divorce. So thank you all. Thank you all. And I think
When
I
you say
mentioned
got
that
you
to you.
through, what do you mean?
Well, I was living in Vermont at the time. My ex-wife, who she's my ex-wife for a reason, we're no longer together. I moved back to Connecticut. I'm staying with one of my oldest and dearest friends, a big ZO2 fan. Shout out to Jim Lalamere, right off the cuff. He's like, you got to see the show on IFC. It's called Z Rock. They play for kids during the day and they're a rock band at night. I'm like, wow, that sounds like a TV show spelling disaster, but I'll watch. So entertaining. Loved it. The chemistry between you three guys on the show. And I know, read the book, a lot of stuff you don't know about, but it was just so much fun to watch. And you're feeling down, you're feeling kind of whatever. It was the beginning of in demand or on demand as you were.
Right.
So it would see, oh, look, the latest Z Rock is on, and I missed last week. So I'll watch these two in a row. Just made me forget about the BS I was going through. It took me to a different place. It's a lot like you equated with in your book, running into the record store and diving straight for, there's a Maiden record or a Kiss record or a Motley record coming out. You run straight for that section and you're paging through. Oh, shit, here it is. Dr.
Right.
fucking Feel Good. that joy, that elation. And for me, in 2009, it was coming home from work. You know, you're reminded every day, well, about 10 days, I'm going to be officially a divorced man. I got to now share time with my daughter who's upstairs and whatever. By the way, my daughter is impressed that you played wiffle ball with Kiss. She's 11.
not only not only played, we beat them.
Well, there's a question about that later on. I'm going to bring
Okay.
back a segment that we haven't done in about 2 years since I think Road Warrior Animal was the last guy we did Furious 7 with. So we're going to bring that back for Joey Cassata.
I'm in good company. I'm actually watching Halloween Havoc 1994 on my TV right now.
Oh, Halloween Havoc 94. Hogan Flair in the cage.
That's right.
Damn, I'm good. We're going to talk about wrestling in just a few minutes.
Oh
I
boy,
do
this is
want
the king of wrestling trivia here, by the way.
I do want to continue talking about the book for just a minute. Um, with with ZO2, I know there was a lot of tension, and I believe they were brothers, weren't they, Paul and Dave?
Yes, they were brothers. Yes.
So there was a lot of tension where you kind of, if you read throughout the book, your vision is clear. We need to go in this direction to succeed, and obviously, your career has taken you in some pretty great paths from the stage, sharing the stage with Kiss with ZO2 to Broadway, and now to where you are now with the book. Everything's incredible. The brothers kind of listened to whomever was in their ear at the time. I don't want to disparage Paulie, and I don't want to disparage Dave, God rest his soul. But did you, obviously, you kind of had that Peter Chris feel? You felt like you were outnumbered at some points. Was that anything that made you discouraged and thought, well, maybe I'm done in this business?
It definitely never got me discouraged. We were a three-piece band, so obviously the two brothers always voted one way, and if I had another vote, I voted the other way. But unfortunately, I was outvoted, and that happened quite often, and it was no detriment of them. They were a little younger than me. We had management that was very influential to them. And listen, all the stuff that I thought we should do was not always right either, 100% right. I didn't want to make our first record. I didn't think it was financially doable. There was no reason to self-publish and self-produce our own record at the time, and we dumped $30,000 into it. But luckily, I was outvoted for that one, because if we didn't make that record, Paul Stanley wouldn't have heard it, and we wouldn't have gotten that Kiss tour. So yes, there were definitely times where I was right, and there were definitely times where they were right. I think I probably would have felt more discouraged and maybe even thought about leaving the group if I didn't realize the chemistry that we had. And if I thought the music and just the vibe of the three of us wasn't that good, I probably wouldn't have put up with as much as I did at the time. You know what I mean? But
Right.
because everything, we were so good together, and not only personally but musically, obviously business wise, everyone's going to disagree on stuff, and we, trust me, we had plenty of disagreements business wise, but personally and musically, we were just such a good unit together. There was no denying it.
Well, I will say this off the cuff. Tuesdays and Thursdays, if I'm getting the title right,
Yes, you are.
Jim had the CD. I did not, but I wore it out. Ain't It Beautiful? One of my favorite little toe tapping numbers. Just great stuff you guys did. Great stuff.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. Yeah, and again, like I said, there was plenty of times where we disagreed, but in the end, sometimes you need different opinions. If we had three of me in the band, it probably wouldn't have worked. If we had three of them in the band, it probably wouldn't have worked. Us being so different and being such polar opposites on certain points of view, I think made the chemistry what it was.
And of the two brothers, again, don't want to disparage one or the other. I know Dave's no longer with us. Who is your favorite to work with, or was it both?
You mean? Well, I could say who was the least favorite. No, I'm kidding. No, they they were both amazing to work with. Again, professionally and fun wise too. Everything we did together was nonstop laughs. Of course, there were disagreements and arguments and blah blah blah, but they were both amazing to work with. Two complete polar opposites, even on their spectrum.
Mhm.
Dave was a machine. Everything he did had to be calculated and figured out, and he would want to rehearse a song 750 times, and he would work on harmonies 24 hours 7 in the van, going to Nick's shows or in our tour bus or in the RV or whatever it was. Whereas Paulie was more of the feel guy, and he was emotional, and he was very sensitive, and he was more about the the music, and making the point come across, and making sure everything was right, and he wanted the vibe to be right rather than every note to be right. And so their personalities, even within themselves, were so different. And I don't know if I think it's on I'm not sure what record it is, but one of the records, maybe every record, I'm not sure how we listed it. We stand for the three P's. I think Paulie was, oh my God, passion. Dave was persistence, and I was um patience.
Okay.
So right, so those were our three P's. We all, it was a weird triangle where we all offset each other, and again, it worked out great.
And if you guys read the book again, you can see it if you're watching on YouTube. If you're audio only, it's called Start with a Dream, Mr. Joey Cassata. You do see a lot of that in the stories that you tell inside the book. But I said we would have 45 minutes. Not that I would give you. You could have 3 hours if you damn well wanted to. But I'm sure,
Dude, I'm here for, well, whatever you guys need. Let's keep talking until it gets boring, right?
well, it's never going to get
Well,
boring.
well,
Ed, go ahead.
well, Joey, I was gonna play a little game of like mean tweets with you. Look,
Oh God.
looking at the Amazon reviews, but you've got 37 5 out of 5 stars, so we're not gonna have any mean tweets. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna swipe my phone up,
Yep.
and then I'm gonna tap it. We're gonna play the review of Glory here,
Oh, very nice.
and I'm gonna read one out loud for everybody, so this just so they can hear how great this book is.
And this is straight from
Awesome.
Amazon.com,
This
kids.
is
This is not
okay.
made up.
This is a verified purchase from a Karen LaRosa. Get this book, you'll love it. This book is perfect for musicians, music fans, wrestling fans, Broadway musical fans, or really anyone who has ever had a dream and worked to a reality. This is an autobiography about a drummer from Brooklyn who gets to realize his dream by touring with Kiss and his band ZO2. Of course, the Kiss parts were some of my favorites since I am such a big fan, but all of the book was really interesting. It's cool that there's a YouTube playlist at the front of the book to coincide with the different bands' music events in the book.
Here, let me
The
show
book
that out
is
real
written
quick.
by a real person, not a ghostwriter or professional writer. It sounds like a person talking to you, telling you their story, which I really loved. The experiences, feelings, descriptions are all raw and honest. It's really a wonderful book. It leaves you feeling inspired. I highly recommend it. Excellent job.
Fantastic review. And guys, I will share this, but if you want to read the rest of the book, you're gonna have to buy it. I'll share this playlist. I watched most of these. The one I was most impressed with was the Mock Rock Kiss Nation VH1. The fact that it never aired kind of bothers me a little bit. You guys did such a fantastic job. To see Gene and Paul be a part of it was a fantastic job. And I don't want to step on my friends at three sides of the coin. They're very good to us. We're very good to them. But can you tell me how much of a disappointment that was that Mock Rock never made air?
Oh, it was a huge disappointment. Again, it was, as we were doing it. I'm not sure if anyone knows the story, but it's on YouTube. If you look on my YouTube channel, Sada Entertainment, all of the whole playlist of my book is on YouTube. It follows pretty much along with each chapter, and kind of shows video of each band I was in, and so on and so forth. And this episode of Mock Rock that we filmed for VH1 was, inside the life of a tribute band, and that's what the show was going to be based around. And at the end of the show, Gene and Paul surprised us at the Whiskey A Go Go and watched us play, and talked to us afterwards. And we had no idea that they were going to be there. This was all a setup by VH1, and it was one of the greatest moments of my life when that happened. And for it not to air, of course, it was heartbreaking to us. We put a lot of time into that. We put a lot of effort into it, and then especially the payoff with Gene and Paul being in the episode and giving us props and talking about us and talking with us in the episode. It was very upsetting when it didn't air.
You should have gotten Mini Kiss.
Oh, you're fucking kidding me.
Dude,
I mean,
I always bring up Mini Kiss during these Kiss
It
discussions.
drives me nuts. And here I was going to make a joke like, I'm not that big a fan of Kiss, whatever, but Joey knows that's not the truth. That's anybody who's listening to
Mini
this
Kiss
show.
is awesome, though. I've seen them.
They were pretty good. The Dr. Pepper commercial was the best.
that was great. Well, obviously, Mini Kiss was on Z-Rock years later.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I do remember that. But I want to transition sort of before we talk wrestling because I am very curious about wrestling with Joey Licious. We just did an AEW episode last week. If you want to go dig back through the YouTube channel and find that, I think you'll be impressed, and you might have some points that you want to make as well. But the Broadway musical, The Great Comet
Yes.
of 1812, you worked with Josh Groban. What is that like to go from on stage playing just the most bombastic music you can think of to this very controlled situation on Broadway?
with the most discriminating audience.
Oh, very much so.
It was, I mean, again, it was so funny, like the lead up to that. After ZO2 disbanded and Z Rock was canceled, so on and so forth. I had my first child, so I was looking to do more local stuff. It was very hard for me to tour with a baby and stuff like that. So, I tried to break into the Broadway world, and that world is next to impossible to break into. You have to, get on the inside. Once you're in, it's great, but you can't break in. I tried for years to break in, and finally, I got the opportunity with the show. Music director of the show worked with me in the Trans Siberian Orchestra. We were both backup musicians for years. And he called me one day and just asked me if I wanted to be a part of it. And I was like, sure, what, I'd love to at least talk to you about it. He's like, no, 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 you got to come down for an audition tomorrow. And we actually have a show the next night, we need you to play. I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. Wait a second. Now, this was off Broadway. This was before we were on Broadway.
Okay.
So, I went to music school, I read and write and stuff like that, but I haven't sight read or anything like that in, 15, 20 years at this point. So I was very nervous. They sent me a couple of tracks. They sent me a little bit of sheet music. And I just went, I said, you know what? It's probably not going to go. It's probably not going to work out. I'm probably not going to fit the role. I'm a rock drummer and, this is not a rock show. I'm probably not going to get the role, but I take chances. That's my life. That's all I do is try to get the next level. Try to take a chance because you never know what's going to happen. You have to get yourself out there and do things. So I said, screw it, let me go. I went for the audition. They turned out that they loved me. I actually sat in with the band that night for their second preview show and did a couple songs that I knew, and I sight read a couple of others, and from there it turned into one of the biggest off Broadway shows ever. It was a huge hit. We were sold out for like a year and a half straight. It was a big giant, like the it place to be in downtown Manhattan. And from there we basically got the Broadway gig. Josh Groban signed on, and we opened up on Broadway. My book actually ends basically with me opening on Broadway. That was kind of the pinnacle of my success, was opening on Broadway. I actually wrote the book every night to and from the shows. We did 8 shows a week. I did over 600 performances with the Great Comet of 1812. And working with Josh Groban and these amazing musicians was life altering for me. It was an amazing experience. Totally different than the rock world. Anyone who's done both, I'm sure there's not a lot of people that have done both, but to do both, it's polar opposites. With ZO2 or any rock bands I was ever in, you have freedom to jam and express emotions and do what you want to do to play your instrument. Whereas this Broadway show, I was on my book every night and meaning my charts, and I could not deviate. We were on a click and I could not deviate from this chart. So as much fun as it was playing my drums every night for 3 hours, 8 nights, 8 shows a week, it was hard because you get into this rut from playing 600 of the same exact show. It was hard after a while.
I can certainly imagine. And the only other guy other than you from the rock world that goes to a semi Broadway, Broadway, or off Broadway play is a guy who wrote a little nice thing on the back of your book, Mr. Paul Stanley.
Yes. And I think even if I remember correctly, in Paul's book, obviously I read all the Kiss books. I'm a Kiss nut. Paul said the same thing about Phantom. He was like, it's such a different animal.
Mhm.
And until you get your body used to it, it's very hard. Once I got into the swing of things and I realized, okay, I'm not Joey the drummer anymore. I'm the driver of this machine every night. It became easier. And it was a good thing but too, because we weren't in a pit where most Broadway shows, the musicians are underneath the stage in a pit. For this show, and you can look it up online, there are clips, and even on the YouTube playlist there's clips of us playing. I was actually inside the audience every night. I was actually I had audience members right next to me every night. So
Wow.
I still got to feel and experience that live crowd where most Broadway shows you don't get that from being a musician.
That is fantastic. Wouldn't have thought about that. I actually took the trek up to Toronto back in '99 to see Paul Stanley in Phantom of the Opera. It was a culture
I did
shock
too.
for me. We could have been at the same show, Joey. Once again, parallel universes.
It's so weird, right? That's so crazy,
I
dude.
say the same thing about my partner who's not here tonight. Best wishes to Loki. He's suffering from stomach flu. He and I ran similar courses for 20 years, probably in the same room a couple times. Never knew it. We met in 2014 and we've been off and running ever since.
Yeah, listen, again, even with my book, I keep going back to it, obviously, but all the stuff in my book, I find a lot of people that are Kiss fans are wrestling fans,
Of
and a lot of
course.
people are Kiss wrestling fans are comic book fans. I'm a huge comic book collector, and just that pop culture. I think for some reason, all those weird subgenres go together. Kiss, of course, I love their music more than anything in the world, and that's really what kept me a fan all these years. But the first thing that drew me was their superhero personas.
Sure.
So I think all of us in from that generation, especially if you branch it all the way off, just starting with Kiss. Kiss fans love wrestling. Kiss fans love comic books. Kiss fans love Star Wars. Kiss fans, it's all that same type of generational, pop culture obsessions that we all went through.
Eddie loves all of that except Kiss, but he's the producer. He really doesn't
I
count.
don't hate Kiss.
How much shit do you give me over my Kiss obsession?
Well, the obsession, yes.
All right, fair enough. But Joey's obsessed. Why aren't you giving him shit?
Give me time. The night's
All
young.
right, you
Right.
get to know him a little bit before you
Joey,
fuck
really?
him.
Why Kiss when there's Guar? Anyway,
Good granny.
You answered your own question.
Pretty much. The second part that I want to get into, I wanted to leave most of the Kiss stuff behind because I know you did three sides of the
oh,
coin
we got to
recently.
ask one question though.
Don't do it.
Hey, Joey,
Go ahead.
what's your opinion of Kiss in the Phantom of the Park?
Oh, good call. I thought you were gonna go the other way.
Well, he
It's
mentioned
it,
superheroes, so
Yes.
that's the first thing that
it
popped in my head.
listen, I may get killed for this. I love that movie.
Oh, you're in good
And
company.
for years, it was, as a kid, my favorite movie growing up. And again,
Nice.
you got to understand, yes, if the first time I ever saw that movie was right now, yeah, it's cheesy and it's ridiculous, but it didn't matter. You got to understand, I'd never even seen Kiss speak at that point yet.
Mhm.
I don't think I saw Paul Lynde at that time yet, or any of the. I never even saw Kiss in an interview.
A-
When I saw Phantom of the Park for the first time, it was like mind blowing.
And you
And
still
yeah,
didn't hear. I think it was Ace. Was it Ace?
Peter had the
Yeah,
looping issue.
yeah. You didn't get to hear Peter. You heard what Shaggy or
No, it was
or
Aquaman.
uh,
Can't remember his name. Norman something.
yeah. He's like,
but no one knew that. No one knew that
Right.
at that time. All you knew was this is Kiss in front of you.
Of
Even like
course.
the stunt double stuff. Yeah, looking back, it's so ridiculous. You could see it plain as day. But back then, I didn't even know what a stunt double was.
If you
yeah.
want to have some fun, I'll send you a link. We did a watch along on our
Oh,
show, and Bill Starkey, the head of the Kiss Army, watched it with us, and we had so much fun. It was a
yeah.
laugh
We
riot.
did a Kiss Science Theater 3000 of that movie. It was great.
Amazing. Did he like it, by the way?
He gave us the
He kinda has the
historical
same.
perspective. I hated it when I saw it because he was like 20 at the time.
Yeah.
So
So he's
this
at the
was
peak.
garbage.
He was at the peak.
Oh
and
yeah, he was at
It
the
would seem
pinnacle.
disrespectful if you were that hardcore at the time.
But he did say over the years he's learned to love it. Whereas Joey, I'm with you. I saw it. I loved it. Sometime in the late 80s, early 90s, when it was played on Halloween at our local what is it? UHF station,
26.
channel
That's where I
26.
saw it, like 3 in the morning
Exactly.
on channel 26 was the
We'd
first time I
watch it
ever
and I'm
saw it.
like, oh God, I'm burying my head at 17 years old. Like, how did I ever love this film? I let my daughter watch it about a year ago, and she was like, "This is the funniest thing I've ever watched." I'm like, "Emma, why is it funny?" She goes, "Because it's so ridiculous." And she was 9 at the time. I took her to see Kiss at 6. I'll send you that
Right.
picture at
It
some
wasn't
point.
till later that I discovered it was produced by like
Hanna
Hanna-Barbera,
Barbera.
and I was like, wow, it's all become clear now.
It's Scooby Doo
I,
without Scooby Doo.
I
Of course, Emma hated Scooby Doo
I
and Kiss.
think the reason why people come to love that movie is because nothing like that will ever happen again.
No, you're not going to see, and I hate to rip off Paul Stanley and his line, you're not going to see Cardi B and the Temple of Doom or
No.
You're not going to see Nickelback faces zombie monsters from hell. Nobody cares about those bands like people cared about Kiss.
No, no,
And it's funny that that's why when we did Z Rock, it was so special for us because we, in a weird way, modeled ourselves after Kiss. We didn't care about people's perception of, oh, these guys are going to make fools of themselves on this TV show. No one's ever going to take them serious now because they're goofy on the show. How can we buy their music and think they're rock stars? No, it wasn't about that. It was about marketability. It was about getting yourself out there, showing your personality. It's not just about music. And Kiss was never just about music. It was about these four personas, and that's kind of what we wanted to do. In Z Rock, we all kind of had our own characters that we played. We all played ourselves, but we were exaggerated versions of ourselves.
stage
I
show.
was
Yeah.
right. I was Joey from Z Rock, from ZO2, from Brooklyn, but I was an exaggerated version of myself. It wasn't just me, and that's how I look at Phantom of the Park. Yeah, was Kiss really doing that stuff? Did they really have superpowers? No, it was a story to tell. It was showing these guys in a different light.
But
I loved it.
Joey, when you're 8 years old, as I was, and you're watching this film, I kind of truly did believe that Ace could hitchhike his thumb and transport the band somewhere else. But you're
but that's
eight,
the but
and
that's
that's
the
the
beauty
beauty.
of it.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. And you know what? I thought Hulk Hogan really beat the Iron Sheik when I saw him. I didn't know
Yeah, he
it was an out
did.
the outcome was predetermined. You know what
The,
I mean? I thought, these guys, wow, like he's bleeding. Oh my God, what's
this
going on?
that's the best segue into the wrestling segment, and I'll tell you this. I was a Hulkamaniac up through and about including 86. I was getting older. I was about 86, doing the math, 14, 15 years old. I was growing tired of vitamins and prayers. I was growing tired of three
Yeah,
punches, big boot, leg drop. I found Ric Flair and my life went in a different
I
direction.
think the mega powers I started pulling away too.
Okay, but
Yeah,
now he returns in 2001, and I took a trip to Manchester where he and Shawn Michaels faced Muhammad Hassan and Sean Davari. Joey, I screamed till I was hoarse. It was amazing. I used to write for wrestlingonline.com, and I remember the quote vividly. History will show there was 60 seconds between the end of Shawn Michaels' music and the beginning of Real American. It felt like 5 years. Everybody in the audience, Hogan, Hogan. And when Real American hit, there I am on top of my chair. The beer went asunder. I've got my red and yellow on. I was just as crazy. And Eddie, you
it,
laugh, but this
no,
is the truth.
it's there.
It made me remember why I loved Hulk Hogan in the first place.
And
Because he,
again, that type of stuff, it's because you were such a fanatic as a kid. That type of stuff, when you're a certain age, when you're between 8 and 12 years old, and this type of stuff impacts you,
Mhm.
it'll always be there for you.
Mhm.
Even if you lose touch with it after a while, you go back to it and you feel like a little kid again.
Right.
Same thing with all the stuff in my book. It all goes back to being a little kid. All the stuff I love to do as a little kid is what I wanted to do as an
Yeah.
adult, and that's what I got to do. It was all about basically reliving my childhood. You know what I mean? That's what we
A-
all want to do.
As soon as you hear those first four chords,
Yep.
like it's like a switch comes on.
Done. And you can again, Kiss is eternal. Hulk Hogan is eternal. Things like that. It'll always be fun, but sometimes you lose touch, you move away, and then it comes back, it creeps back in, it knocks on your door, it says, "Hello, I'm still here. Love me." And you
I think it was
fall in love
I
all
think it
over again.
was it Pitbull that said if not for even if you hate him, if not for him, this wouldn't be what it
Oh,
is.
exactly. Gary
Eh,
Wolf said it the
yeah,
best. You're right.
is like that. He was the one that really helped us start making money. So he hated the way he was being treated. And yeah,
Sure. But now let's get into the wrestling portion. I watched those shorts and I first when you and I first became, Facebook buddies and whatnot, and I hadn't yet got the book, you told me, check out Wrestling with Joey Licious. Boy, did I OD on those shorts. First of all, guys,
So
if you haven't seen them, he
no,
works with Jimmy Snuka, God rest his soul.
we have an
Roddy
audience
Piper,
question.
God rest his soul. What's the audience
But
question?
we have an audience. It's about wrestling though.
Go ahead.
Journey of a Frontman says, "What's Joey's favorite memory of Mick Foley?"
Oh, good call.
it's a perfect segue. As you were leading into all the wrestlers that I've worked with so far, Mick Foley was one of them. We did a short with Mick. and Mick basically plays all his personas. He plays Mankind, Cactus Jack, Dude Love, and Mick Foley. So the scene takes place with me in a hospital bed, and the premise of my show, Wrestling with Joey Licious, there's only shorts available right now. We're closing in on a network deal
Nice.
as we speak. Hopefully, it should be out 2020. We're hoping to start filming summertime, fall. So keep a lookout for that. You can find Wrestling with Joey Licious on YouTube, on Facebook. Just type in Wrestling with Joey Licious; it'll all come up. But so, long story short, we've done some little segues and little shorts with these wrestlers just to start creating this buzz. And the scene we filmed with Mick Foley, all of it takes place in my imagination. The storyline goes, I'm a wrestler. I'm a wannabe, wrestler on the indie scene that really never made it. I'm in my 40s now. I kind of, was never big enough, never strong enough, never good enough to be a professional wrestler, but it's my dream, and by golly, I'm going to keep going with it no matter what happens. And in this show, these wrestling legends appear to me in my imagination to basically give me advice or push me in the right direction, or it never ends up well for me. I always wind up either getting choked out or body slammed or something. But these guys appear to me in my imagination to kind of help me along the way, and that's the premise of the show. And it's a great way to use these amazingly talented guys. These guys are still so magical on screen. When we started filming with them, especially Mick Foley, he's so witty, so sharp. These guys did live TV for 20 years. You know how good you have to be and how fast you have to be on your feet to do
Oh
live
yeah.
TV.
Oh, absolutely.
So when we filmed Mick Foley, we have our loosely, just a loose outline of a script, which is kind of how we filmed Z-Rock. And it kind of tells us the storyline, but most of the dialogue is improvised. And Mick was just coming up with line after line after line that was just magical. So, just him filming it with us and not only doing all his personas, but improvising and improving with me with jokes. There's this one scene where I'm lactose intolerant, and I tell Mick, no, I got a little bit of a tummy ache, and he's like, why don't you, and we get serious for a second. He's like, well, why don't you try almond milk? I'm like, almond milk? How do you make milk from almonds? He goes, well, actually, almonds don't have nipples, Joey. So, and all of that was improvised. It wasn't in the script. The script called for me and him to talk about almond milk, but it didn't have any necessarily scripted lines to say and jokes to say. It was all improvised on the spot. So Mick was so sharp and so funny, and that's how we're going to film the whole show.
I'm so glad you said that because there are 3 instances in watching these shorts that I have to ask you about. The first one is a guy Loki and I worked with. Unfortunately, Eddie wasn't there. It's Tito Santana.
Yes.
And his line was, "Let me tell you about a young boy from Mexico named Clarence." And your line was, "There are Clarences in Mexico?"
So that I will give away. That was scripted. So
Okay.
a lot of that part was scripted. A lot of most of Tito's stuff wasn't scripted, but the story that he tells as a young boy, even though he kind of took some liberties with it, that basic structure was scripted, and it started off with him saying, as a young boy in Mexico, and I said there were Clarences in Mexico. That was that was a scripted line, but most of that storyline that he talks about after that was, kind of written on the spot by Tito.
All right. Second one I wanted to mention is Roddy Piper. God rest his soul, one of our favorites. And he gets hot at you. You got a big poster of Hulk on your wall, and you're like, "Hey, I sleep with little Roddy every night." Again, it gets cut off. What's the payoff of that story?
So did you the whole clip of that whole Roddy Piper episode is online? Did you see the whole clip or
I
just the
didn't. I saw the little greatest hits clip.
right? So if you search on the Wrestling with Joe Licious page, that whole 5 minute short is up there. So
Okay, don't
again,
answer the question then. Let
I
the
won't
let the
answer you.
viewers find it
Yes.
themselves.
I gotta
Wrestling.
find that. I haven't seen it.
It's oh my god, to
If you
watch
just
that.
if you type in Wrestling with Joey Licious Roddy Piper, the whole short will come up. It's so many funny segues where Piper and I go back and forth. It's just nonstop laughs.
The,
And
the,
these guys were so amazing to work with. When I first contacted them, Jimmy Snuka was the first person that I got to film with, and he was such a gentleman and so So great to work with. Once I got him on board, I was waking up to phone calls where I would get a text from Ric Flair or a voice message from Ted DiBiase, and I was like, "Wow, what the hell is going on?" And these guys, just through the grapevine, from the Legends community, all these guys do conventions together and whatnot.
Mhm.
It just got around that I was doing this cool concept, and now basically I got everyone you could possibly think of from those days on board with the
That's
show.
so amazing. I'm going to give you a little side story. Eddie was kind of on board as producer. We were kind of doing this self-produced in the beginning. I had reached out. You're a Yankee fan, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, I am.
Okay, you remember I
Show's
said,
over.
"Shut up." You remember when I said I put aside Mariano's book to read yours, and you were the
Yo,
setup?
yes.
Okay, big ups to you on that one. But I'm going to take you back to 2015. We are just now starting the podcast, and things are going great. And I reached out to any athlete I could think of. One man got back to me and called me one night. His name is Jim Laritz.
Nice.
Yes, he of the Game 6 in Atlanta,
Oh,
that
you don't have to
big
tell
home
me.
run. Oh, I don't, but
Tied
I have to
tied the
tell
game 6-6,
you.
right?
Darn right. And I answer the phone. I'm like, "Hello." He goes, "Hello, Chris. My name is Jim Laritz." "Hello, Mr. Laritz." "No, no, no. Call me Jim." "Okay, Jim." I'm doing the happy dance in my bedroom. My girlfriend never lets me forget this. She goes, "Who the hell were you talking to?" I'm like, "Jim Laritz, two-time World Series champion, fucking New York Yankee legend." And I'm like, "No, shut up. I'm gonna go to bed." But we had him on the show, and that was like for you to work with Foley and all this, having Jim Laritz be on our show, having Gary Pitbull Wolf, Road Warrior Animal, Bob Backlund, who came to the studio, threw me in a chicken wing live on YouTube. It's phenomenal. Again, living the parallel life. You're working with the legends. We're talking to the legends, not necessarily working with them. But the last one I wanted to ask you about, as far as the shorts are, is Iron Sheik. Two-part
That
question.
Go ahead.
Um, was he difficult to work with? And second, did he script the line, or was it completely ad lib when you said, "I love Hulk Hogan"? Well, why don't you marry him?
That was completely ad lib, not scripted at all. So the Sheik was definitely the most interesting shoot that we did. So again, these were all, like I said, low budget shoots. They were all literally just to get this show up and running to shop to network. And it did exactly what we needed it to do. We filmed these 5 shorts. We made a great teaser reel out of it. And we shopped to networks, and we're closing in on the deal right now. So it did what it had to do. But, getting these shoots together was, very guerrilla style. So when I reached out to the Sheik's management at that time, they were like, I would try to film anytime that I got someone to film with. I would try to film around their appearances in New York. That way, we didn't have to pay for flights. We didn't have to, do travel schedules. We would literally film around their schedule. So the Sheik happened to be appearing at, I think it was Caroline's Comedy Club in Times Square, and he was doing like a comedy skit, with some other guys. And I tried to arrange a shoot around that. And the Sheik's management were like, "Listen, you know, I don't know if he'll do it." Well, I was like, "Oh, well, you just can you find out and ask him if he's willing to do it? And here's the outline of the script, blah 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 blah." And his two managers loved the script. They thought it was such a great concept, but they basically tried to explain to me, you don't know what you're going to get from the Sheik day to day.
Mhm.
He might show up and not want to do it. I'm like, well, that doesn't work for me. I have to bring my crew. I have to, I have to set up my shots. I have to, it's a lot of work. He's like, I don't know what to say. He said he might be in a bad mood, and basically tell you go fuck yourself. So I don't know what to say. So I said, listen, okay, you know what? I like I said before, I'm never one to not go for it and sit at home on my ass and do nothing. So I said, you know what? The hell with it. I got my crew together, paid my crew. We set up our shots at Caroline's. I had the whole script written. It took place in the bathroom. So we had it all set up. And the day that we were filming with the Sheik, I contacted the manager and said, okay, is this a go? We're all ready to go. We're here. We're set up. He's like, I don't know. We're in the other room, but he's a little testy right now. I'm a little hesitant to even bring it up. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? I'm here. And Nikolai Volkov was also on the show with
I
him that
remember
night.
that. Yes.
So You know what? Again, my attitude is if I don't do it myself, if I sit back and wait for someone to do it, it's not going to happen. Get off your ass and do it. And that's my advice for anyone to do anything. Just like you guys get your guests, go out and get your guests. Don't let them tell you no.
The no, the
So,
wor- the worst thing you can hear is no, because we've reached out to hundreds, and the ones that we've got have been gold. You know, to have Lizzie Borden on this show almost 6-8 months ago, you tell 15-year-old Chris, hey, you're gonna have Lizzie Borden on your show. I'd have told you go fuck yourself. I got Lizzie Borden on the damn show.
but you got him, but you got him because you tried and it worked out.
Exactly.
You pushed for it. So the same thing like the Sheik. So what happened was he's like, I don't know if he's going to do it. I don't want to even bring it up. He's a little cranky today. So I said, you know what? F this. I went in the other room and I went over to him. I said, I'm here. What's happening? He's like, listen, he's over there. If you want to go ask him, you go ask him. I don't want to ask him. They were basically scared of him.
His own
So
management.
it's not that they were scared of him. They were a little like hesitant to even ask if he, do you want to do that? You want to go do this now? Or they were just a little hesitant to go up to him at that point.
I
So I said,
understand.
They
you know what?
probably just don't want to get fired.
Yeah, I said, you know what? I don't give a shit. What's he gonna say? Worst thing he's gonna say is no, right?
Well, there's one other thing, and it brings me to the third question, which I didn't have at the beginning, but now I got to ask. Did he put anybody in the camel clutch, break their back, fuck their ass, and make them humble?
I know what he would have done.
What would he have done?
He would have been like, Nickelback, #1.
Fuck no. See,
Cassata,
stop.
ha,
This is why we got to hire a better producer.
So anyway, yes,
he doesn't get my humor.
I got it. I liked it.
I didn't.
I got the Cassata seal of approval, bro. Fuck you, all right?
Yeah, you win. You win today.
I will answer the camel clutch question very shortly. So I run in
Okay.
the other room. I go up to the Sheik. Now the Sheik is in a wheelchair at this point. He can walk, but
Mhm.
when he doesn't have to, he's in his wheelchair.
Right.
But he can walk. He's still mobile. He's still okay. But if he doesn't have to, he's in his wheelchair. So I go over to him. I'm very respectful. Obviously, I'm a huge fan. Even though he beat my idol, he beat up my idol Hulk Hogan and put him in the camel clutch. I didn't care. But I went over to him and said, Mr. Sheik, I said, I'm a huge fan. I know I've been speaking to your management. I know you know the story. I'm filming my show, Wrestling with Joey Licious. We have our shot set up, and we want to just talk to you about it a little bit. And before he could say yes or no, what I basically did was I grabbed the back of his wheelchair and I pushed him into the room. I said, "Fuck it."
Oh my god.
I said, "Okay." I said, "Here we go. We're over here. This is the shot." And as I'm pulling him along, he's like, "Oh," and he starts talking about the shot. I didn't give him a chance to say no. I
Wow.
literally was wheeling the Sheik from the other room into the bathroom to film the shot. And all of a sudden, as I'm talking to the Sheik and really basically stealing him from whatever he was doing, Nikolai Volkov is in the background. Can I come too? Can I be a part of this too? Can I be a part of this too? So you got to picture this scene now. His management is across the room looking at me, thinking that I'm just going to talk to him. 2 minutes later, I'm literally wheeling him out of the room into the bathroom with Nikolai Volkov chasing after us.
That's hilarious.
And we got the shot done. It was a great day. The Sheik was incredible to work with. He was a complete gentleman. You show him respect, he shows you respect. He was telling jokes and he was showing us his gold medals and telling us about Hogan and improving with us. He did so much great improving that we actually had to rewrite everything that we did.
That's
And
awesome.
I had to go film half of my shots another day because I had to write a new script around all the great stuff he said.
That's awesome.
Can you just picture though? You're like pushing him in a wheelchair. Nikolai Volkov is chasing after you. That's a scene right out of the Rock and Wrestling show.
Oh, absolutely.
Like that.
You-
100%.
Go to-
It's in my book. It actually is almost. And I wish I had cameras rolling for that because that was funnier than the actual shot.
That sounds like
Oh,
it would
God.
be funnier.
Going in one door, coming out entirely different one. That would have been awesome.
Let me be a part of it. Ha, yo said of gimmick schnabbits fernum. All that. Oh my god, that would have been.
And I
so
have
good.
all of it. I have Nikolai. And again, I didn't have Nikolai written in the script, but I have Nikolai Volkov. I have the freaking tag team champions here now. Now I got to write him into the script. So the whole version of that I think is online somewhere too. Basically, we put Nikolai Volkov into the toilet, and after the Sheik beats me up, because obviously all these shorts end with them beating me up, the Sheik throws me through the toilet, and Nikolai is sitting there, and I'm like, oh, I knew that smell wasn't American. And
Oh,
Nikolai takes my boa that I wear and basically wipes his ass with it.
oh my lord.
I love it.
Guys, if you haven't seen the shorts, go to Wrestling with Joey Licious on YouTube. I've watched a bunch of them. They're awesome. And Joey, before we go, I said I'd bring back Furious 7, but you've been so awesome. I'm going to add an extra question. So this is going to be Furious 8. What I want is the first thing that comes to your mind after every question. Are you ready, sir?
You got it.
Number one, who is your all-time favorite wrestler? Don't be shy.
Hulk Hogan.
Hulk Hogan. Okay. Who is your all-time most hated wrestler?
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah,
Maybe.
see?
Oh my God.
Is that like hate in a
What?
good way or
Oh,
just straight up
was
hate?
what was his name? Glacier.
Oh, good call. I got people that love Glacier. Loki talks about Glacier like he doesn't like him, but he
Oh,
always brings him
awful.
up.
Awful.
All right. Number three, if you could be in one band for the rest of your life till you die, what band would it be?
Do I have to answer that? Kiss.
I already wrote it down. It's all good. Number four, who's better at wiffle ball, Gene Simmons or Paul Stanley?
Definitely Paul Stanley. Gene could, again, in my book, I tell the whole story of how he played wiffle ball with Kiss on the tour. Gene could barely swing. He would only hold the bat with one hand. After a while, he wasn't even trying to hit the pitches anymore. He was balancing the bat on his nose like a seal.
I've seen him do that with a rose on at a Kiss show. Animalize 85.
He actually did it in front of me with a piece of paper,
Oh
a piece of,
shit!
and he did it. I don't know how he did it, but he did it.
The rose I thought was impressive, but the piece of paper, he's tattooed on my leg. He's the king. He's
it,
no kidding. I do have a Gene Simmons tattoo.
it was insane.
I asked this.
That's what I make fun of.
Yeah, I know. I asked this question to Charlie Benante 2 years ago. I'm going to ask you. My stepdaughter is a drummer. Give me one piece of advice to young drummers.
Play for the song. Chops mean nothing. Fills mean nothing. Play to what complements the song.
Fantastic. Question number 6. In your Hampton days, what was your beer of choice?
I'm more of a whiskey drinker. I'm a Scotch drinker, but back then when I was in the Hamptons, my younger years, any beer that I could funnel, it didn't matter.
So basically cold.
Yeah, cold beer, something light that I didn't get too bloated on because I was still trying to watch my girlish figure. So anything like that.
Hashtag it's Miller time. Question number 7. Best match of all time in the wrestling world.
Oh my gosh. I mean, listen, I'm an old school wrestling guy. Obviously, there's people that love all this technical wrestling, and I do too. Don't get me wrong. I know people always say the Savage Steamboat and all this stuff, and I love all that stuff too. But to me, personality and storytelling is way more important than flips and high spots. To me, Hogan and Andre was a great match. But believe it or not, I think my favorite match of all time was Hogan Rock.
Wow, WrestleMania
Yeah.
back in 2001.
I think it was WrestleMania 17 or 18, right? 18,
You're
I think.
right.
I was
Yeah.
just going through all of them the other day. I think it is like 17.
Yeah, I think you might be right. In Houston, right?
It is a magical
No, it's
match.
in Canada.
To see Hogan peak again
Mhm.
and he turns babyface during the match.
Without even knowing.
It is such a work of art the way I think Pat Patterson basically scripted that whole match. It is a work of art the way they go through that match. No,
Against
there's
the
no
number
crazy.
one,
Yeah.
Right.
number one
The
wrestler.
number
at the
one
time.
baby face at the time, and they basically switched roles that night, and it was insane.
And they turned it all around the next night on Monday Night Raw, and everybody's happy and copacetic and what have you. The last question: did Vinnie Vincent save Kiss? No, I'm kidding.
Yes.
April 7th, the Loki and Jabroni Show WrestleMania party. You got any plans?
April 7th. Is that a Sunday by any chance?
It would be. That would be WrestleMania.
I feel like there's a 80s wrestling con possibly that day that I might be attending and appearing at, but I'm not sure if it's that day or not. I think it might be.
I'm going to reach out, and if you haven't already been booked, I'm going to reach out to Tim Silvestri from The Deck, which is where the Loki and Jabroni Show will be live for WrestleMania, and we want you to join us if you can.
If I'm available, please have him reach out. I would love to hang out with you guys. Is that the day of WrestleMania?
That is the day of WrestleMania. We do a live feed every year for certain pay-per-views. We've done SummerSlam
Oh,
twice at the
there's
deck.
no way that there's no way that's the day of the convention. That it has to be a different day.
Yeah, I don't think they'd
They,
have a
they,
con the day of
no,
No,
WrestleMania.
obviously not. Nobody's that stupid. The day of WrestleMania is whatever town you're in. That's the biggest day. That is what it is. I know they've done Ring of Honor, XPW, uh, whatever
You,
iChart promotion is out there.
you can get in the ring and try to beat this man in trivia.
Oh yeah, I would go toe to toe with Joey Licious. It's the first
if
time, Joey, that I'm not giving the questions. I'm going to sit out in the audience and prove my worth.
Joey's gonna be like, "Bro, I was there."
If Joey takes the belt, I would not be upset.
I like, dude, no, I was there.
what eras do you guys talk about? Everything or
Well, when we do the SummerSlam bit, we do SummerSlam trivia. When we do the Royal Rumble bit, we do Royal Rumble trivia.
Yeah,
Obviously, WrestleMania, it's going to be all WrestleMania all the time. From 1 to what is this? 35 now? 35. Yeah, wow.
yeah, it's
I think
insane.
I'm great at like matches and storylines and stuff like that. I'm not great at remembering like which WrestleMania this happened in or which year that happened in. That stuff is hard for me.
No, we don't go that way. We'll be like, "Hey, if you're out in the crowd and I were giving the questions, it'd be like, "Hey, WrestleMania 7, who'd the British Bulldog fight?"
Oh Jesus Christ! I'm
No,
gonna
it
guess
wasn't Jesus Christ. It was the Warlord.
Hercules. Oh,
Warlord.
I was close, right?
Well, Jesus Christ first. No, not really, but the Warlord, you were close.
I think Billy Jack Haynes was the last time Hercules in WrestleMania, wasn't it?
No, Earthquake, WrestleMania 6.
Okay.
Still a champ. I'm not going to lose my title, not even to Joey Licious. I
No,
would lose
I'd
in
be
the ring.
tough to beat that. That'd be tough.
All right.
So Joey, Hillbilly Jim,
Yes.
Hillbilly
Oh,
Jim,
Christ, here we go.
does he deserve Hall of Fame?
Listen, there's so many guys that I think don't deserve it, and there's so many guys that do deserve it. Again, it's a finite thing. It's not the Wrestling Hall of Fame. It's whoever Vince McMahon wants in, right? So, what is the Hall of Fame really? What does it mean?
The funny thing
Listen,
The funny
Hillbilly
thing is,
Jim.
Joey, before you go on, the first conversation, Ed, I had with Joey on the phone, I mentioned you and Hillbilly Jim in the Hall of Fame, and we talked about Rick Martel. Why is he not in? Adrian Adonis, why is he not in? So your question, as valid as it is, was kind of squashed 4 weeks ago on the phone on a Monday afternoon with Joey Cassata. But go ahead,
Yeah,
Joe.
no, it's true. No, he's right. He did it. I remember talking about this. Yeah, yes, I think he belongs in just because there's other guys that belong in less than him. So, I think he did a lot for WWF back then. He had a lot of big storylines when he first came up training with Hogan and stuff like that. He was in he was in Rock and Wrestling Cartoon. He was, anyone that appeared in that show, if they're not in the Hall of Fame, they should be.
All right,
They were huge.
Ed, I'm gonna turn off your headphones for a second. I don't know which button it is, but
I'm just gonna drop this here, Mike, at your feet.
all right, listen, I'm gonna go with Joey on this one. He was a pertinent part of that '80s rock and wrestling thing. I'm gonna agree with Joey, but the criteria that you gave when we did the Hall of Fame episodes, plural, over the years was bullshit. So I'm gonna go with Joey on this one.
What was the criteria?
Just impact and when you look at Hall of Famers like Ric Flair, the Ultimate Warrior, um, Macho Man Savage, just how
The word I used was culture. They affected the culture.
I'll agree with that because
Hillbilly Jim, you can't say didn't affect the culture. Of
Joey
wrestling.
enunciated it better than you did.
I agree with you, by the way. I agree. Hillbilly Jim 100% affected the culture. He had his own stable, basically, for at one point with
Well,
Uncle
folks,
Elmer and who was the other guy?
Uncle Elmer,
Boss,
Cousin Luke.
Cousin Luke.
Well, this will be the last time Joey Cassata ever appears on this. I'm kidding. Joey, you have an open door policy. Anytime, if you have something to pimp, plug, or otherwise push upon the people, please let us know. We are glad to have you. You have been such a pleasure.
Guys, thanks so much for having me. Really, it was a pleasure. I love talking. Everything we talked about, obviously, is all our passions. So anytime you want me back, I'd love to come back. Anyone who wants to find more about me, just go to facebook.com/Joey Cassata. You can order the book on Amazon.com. Just type in either Joey Cassata or Start with a Dream. There's so much stuff out there. Z-Rock, ZO2, all that stuff is either on YouTube, iTunes, Amazon. Just type any of that stuff in your Google machine and you'll be fine.
Absolutely. And if in the event we ever are in the same room, I'm holding up the book right now. I want this autographed in person by you. One and done.
I'd love to, brother.
Thank you, Joey. You've been great. I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, guys, so much. Have a good one.
You too, brother.
Woo!
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 What a
Yeah.
guy, man.
Oh,
Joey
great guy.
Cassata.
Definitely grab that book, folks. 5 out of 5 stars.
You know what?
There's not a single bad review.
Do me a favor. Bring those reviews
You
up
wanna
again.
oh, you wanna do it
I
again?
want you to
Just
do
spin.
easily 3 reviews. I do have to duck out for a second. I can hear you from the executive washroom,
All
but
right, we'll do. I'm gonna spin the review again.
spin it to
Oop,
win.
oops. Here we go. Oop. Some people sharing some photos. All right, another good review. I became aware of Joey Cassata and ZO2 when I stumbled onto the debut of their TV show Z Rock on the Independent Film Channel over a decade ago. I was immediately hooked by the music, the comedic timing, and especially the chemistry between the three members of the band. I also immediately began telling my friends about them. This book was such fun to read. Although he is 6 years younger than me, it was hard not to see all the similarities between myself and Joey. Again, people are relating to this book, folks. Grab it. Um, Especially as a Kiss fan and just simply being musicians. His stories of the highs and lows, the joy and frustrations of being a musician are a must read. If you are one of those musicians who have to do it because it's just who you are, because it's in your soul, and you aren't happy even in the hard times, unless you are doing it, you will relate to this book in so many levels. I laughed so many times. The story of his first performance at school when he and his friends dressed as Kiss still has me chuckling weeks after finishing the book. I felt his frustrations with bands that just weren't going anywhere, and those times when it looked like everything was falling into place and instead it just fell apart. And I cried at the stories of the struggle and eventual loss of his amazingly supportive mother and the loss of his bandmate and friend David Z. Honestly, if you're thinking, I'm not sure who this guy is, why would I want to read a book about him? I can answer that in 5 words because it's really that good.
It is. And again, having, I have to give a lot of credit, like I always do, to Three Sides of the Coin. They were why we started. They had Joey on to talk about the Kiss angle. They talked about the book some. They talked about the wrestling angle some. I wanted to stray away from the Kiss and talk more about the book, but you can't talk about the book and who Joey Casada is without
Talking
talking
about Kiss. Yeah.
exactly. But as I said to him, in reading this book, I felt like I knew him and I knew his mom, perhaps one of the most incredible human beings that I've ever read about. And I've read you know me. Hello. I'm the book guy. I read constantly. There's never a time where I don't have a book in my hand. So to read this book, to have that access and to know who Joey's mother was, man, it touched my heart. And going into, and I didn't want to bring it up during the interview, but if I'm doing my math right, he got married and then lost his mom, or lost his mom and got married. It was like that quick. Boom, boom. To have one of the happiest moments of your life be coupled with one of the most tragic moments of your life had to be heartbreaking. I obviously we had so much fun talking to Joe, and I want to do it again. But again, you don't bring that up.
It's funny. Joey doesn't sound like somebody that's done everything he has either. He sounds like a little kid opening up his Christmas presents for the first time, and I really like that. Like it's like, oh
Like
yeah,
the
we do this, we do that, and like
oh
he
sure,
still has that same drive that you have when you're like 12 years old and everything's like brand new.
the Nintendo 64 kid back in the day.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Wow. So, all right. Again, I know you fuck with me about the kiss thing and all of that, but
He's
l-
on your leg,
listening to Joe, listening to
man.
Joey, and hearing the stories, you got to have maybe a little appreciation, a little more. I've strayed away from Kiss on the music podcast. By the way, we're recording bumpers tomorrow for the next My Journey with Music. Please find it on Apple Podcasts and wherever you steal your favorite podcast
Just
from,
Apple Podcasts.
or Anchor FM.
Yeah,
Okay. Do you get the Kiss thing a little bit more now?
everybody's got their band that they're into.
But the Kiss thing,
Sure.
it's again,
I
like he said,
here's
Kiss, wrestling, comic books, Star Wars.
the way you are with Kiss. I could say I was with Journey for years.
Oh, good call.
So you know, I should say Steve Perry's Journey. You know, specific.
Steve Perry.
Not knocking the new guys who do a great job,
I like
but
Arnell.
every yeah,
Arnell. Let me try that again in English.
I
Arnell.
liked Jerry.
Oh, Steve Argeri was
Yeah,
fantastic.
you know, I think hearing him do uh Journey songs now is kind of sad. But um, that's how I was. Like I eat, breathe, and sleep the band. I even at one point, actually, it might even still be in my collection of old CDs. I had the albums before Steve Perry was in the band. Then they were all instrumental. I had those albums,
Mhm.
so I know how it is.
I
But
mean,
the thing I think where you guys benefit that I kind of got turned off by it was obviously, you know, Steve Perry leaves.
mhm.
Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons have never left Kiss, and for all intents purposes, they are
They
Kiss.
are without question.
Obviously, you would prefer Ace and Peter, but from the sounds of it, yeah, from the sound of it, it sounds like their music got better.
Dude, I'm
So
wearing the Kiss shirt from the tour that I took my daughter to at 6 years old. I'm going to send Joey that picture as soon as we're done. I promised him that. To hear, I didn't go to the reunion tour. Reason being is I wasn't sold. I thought this was a money grab. I didn't think there was magic in it.
everything with Gene Simmons is a money grab.
I get it, but to see how successful the tour was, and then they come out with a record. I love the record. Wait for it. So I went to the tour. I went to 4 shows on the Psycho Circus tour. Fantastic, phenomenal. They played all the greatest hits. They played stuff from Psycho Circus. It was amazing. Then you find out in later years, Ace and Peter barely played on the album. It was studio musicians. It was Gene and Paul, like you said.
Mhm.
So now from Psycho Circus in 1998 till Sonic Boom in 2009, there's no studio Kiss recordings. Sonic Boom comes out. I'm curious. How are Eric Singer, who's already recorded with the band with Revenge and Carnival of Souls, how is that going to match up? We find out. Amazing record. Just fucking phenomenal. Tommy Thayer plays his ass off. I already knew Tommy Thayer could play his ass off because I was a fan of Black and Blue in the 80s. I already knew Eric Singer could play his ass off. Saw him live with Kiss half a dozen times when they were non-makeup Jones. So again, you move forward to Monster in 2011, 2012. They toured with Motley Crue, who we're going to be talking about in just a couple weeks when the movie comes out.
Mhm.
We're all going to watch it. We're all going to have our review of The Dirt. I read the book. If you haven't read the book, go to lokinjabroni.com, click our Amazon link, buy The Dirt. There's already been a 10th anniversary, and I think there's a 15th anniversary edition out. It is one of the best rock books you will ever. No, it is the best rock book, other than Joey Cassata's book, you will ever read.
It's been a while since we did a Netflix review episode, so
Would you like to do
yeah.
Motley Science Theater 3000 with The Dirt?
No, only because it's a newer film and we'll probably get in trouble.
Probably.
I think the only reason we get away with Phantom of the Park is because Gene Simmons wants nothing to do with it.
Probably.
So, and there'll be no talk of
Let me
Phantom of
know.
the Park.
Or Vinnie Vincent.
I mean, dude. I mean, and this is a guy here where you're lucky if he found out about your leg, he'd probably serve you papers.
He'd probably sue me for my leg.
Yeah.
I've
Like,
said it. I almost started a GoFundMe. Remember the shit I
oh
got for that?
Jesus Christ!
There's people out there that need operations, and why are you getting a GoFundMe for a tattoo
Are
removal?
you
Because you pissed me off, Gene Simmons.
fucking? And the whole time I was like, does anybody not understand irony and sarcasm anymore?
And that's all it was. I'm
It,
never going to get a tattoo removed. I get them all for a purpose.
nor would I keep money to remove a tattoo.
Oh,
Like,
Christ.
like if anyone actually donated money to that, I'd give it back or give it to charity.
No, I wouldn't. I'd take it and get another tattoo. I'll be honest.
You get Paul in the other leg,
Maybe. Or Vinnie Vincent.
like
Like right next to him, looking at him like this. Hey, Gene, what's going on? You want to write us?
transgender Vinnie Vincent.
Oh, no. I was thinking more along the lines of the first time I saw Kiss in 82, the Ankh, Vinnie Vincent.
Nobody's gonna know that but you. Get the new one.
That's not true. Uh,
You and Joey, the only ones that are gonna know that.
2017, when I met Corey Huffnagel of the C&J Speedway Review, I'm in the hospitality village at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. I'm standing in line next to this guy. We're all going up to whatever it was we were doing. And I look at his arm, and he's got Ace Frehley, the makeup face, and underneath it, he has Vinnie Vincent's autograph tattooed to his arm. I'm like, dude, you're the guy. Can I take a picture of your arm? He's like, whatever. I sent it to Tommy and Mike from Three Sides. They were like, dude, you'll never find that again. It was awesome. But again, like he says, it's a community. Wrestling is a community. Comic books community. How often have we beaten comic books to death on this show?
Oh,
A
well,
million
there'll be
times.
plenty. Captain Marvel and
I can't wait for that movie.
in Endgame.
Cannot wait for that movie, by
I'm
the way.
hesitant. It's starting to look like man hating trash, but
Well, you don't know until you get there.
yeah.
The
I mean,
tr-
I'm still gonna see it.
right. Hey guys, by the way, if you're looking for a movie to watch in the next couple days, don't watch Havenhurst. Just let it go.
I haven't finished it.
Don't do it.
No, I
Just
started watching it. I keep falling asleep.
don't fucking do it. Just please, if you like me at all, don't fucking do it. Let's pay some bills real quick. I know you got places to be, and we'll be back here tomorrow recording for my journey with music. Which, if you haven't checked it out, first episode just went up last week.
Yeah,
I listened to it. The things that this man does behind the scenes, fucking incredible,
for no budget.
right? And that's where you guys
Yeah,
come in. Go to www.patreon.com/Loki and Jabroni. Donate. It's for the Focus Digital Network. Loki and Jabroni was just where we started. It works with all the shows: C&J Speedway Review, My Journey with Music, Libertarian Focus, Basement Quest. All the money goes into the show. It doesn't go into our pockets. It goes into what we do each and every week.
I spend way too much for it to go in my pocket. Re- Rest assured. Technically, it goes into my pocket, but that's only after more has left.
Pretty
This,
much.
you
Pay
know.
some bills real quick, my friend.
That's basically the gist of it. Go to loganjabroni.com, take advantage of some of the affiliates. Um, Before buying Joey's book, hit our Amazon link and buy Joey's book. Um,
I will stop you here. If you want an autographed copy, find him on
yeah,
Facebook
go to yeah,
and he'll
go through
personally
him.
autograph it for you. I'm looking forward to meeting Joey in person and having him grab this. Just got a text from Joey Cassata. Thanks, buddy. That was fun. Man, what a good guy. This guy
Yeah,
is
a lot
fucking
of fun.
salt of the earth.
We
He,
get the best guests on this show.
you know what? Joey
Not
is
and
Pitbull.
some of them aren't even flat earthers.
No, fuck
Yeah,
flat earthers. That's another story for another time. If you want to hear about that, November episode one something or other, the Great Flat Earth Debate. Listen to us basically bury cunt and bitchson.
then he runs away. Um,
Did you watch the documentary yet?
no,
You have to.
why?
Ed, it's comedy. If you
No.
think laughing at Beverly Hills Cop was funny, laugh at these guys, especially the last 10 minutes
Yeah, but
is worth it.
Beverly Hills Cop is intelligent humor in my opinion.
This is you being
Th-
intelligent
this is
watching unintelligent humor.
this is like beneath American Pie humor.
I wish Stephen Waddick was with here with us right now on the gimmick. He would
I
tell
wish
you.
Steven was here to go Waddick.
He
But
would Waddick your Waddick.
uh
Love you, Stephen.
tickets, get your event tickets through lokiandjabroni.com now to any event, including Broadway,
Kiss. Oh,
Kiss, Broadway.
yeah.
There's if you're in the area, you can get Broadway tickets, and you doesn't matter where you are. You don't have to be in Connecticut where we are. This is um, through a real ticket distributor.
Not a scalper.
It's not a scalper. There's a real ticket distributor that is now affiliated with the Loki and Jabroni show, and so we do get a commission on tickets sold. So not only do you get to see the shows you want to see, including wrestling,
Yes.
music,
Yes. Sports.
boxing,
Boxing, MMA,
yeah, everything. It's all
cockfighting.
there. It
Well,
is all
maybe
there.
not cockfighting.
No, I don't think so. That's a different. That's an underground
Yeah. That's
thing.
cash in hand.
Yeah, you don't want that. You don't want
Although it would be nice if we could see some legalized cockfighting somewhere.
Oh, it's too bad. Too bad I'm not drinking today. Anyway,
All right.
but that is paying the bills. Subscribe, share, click the bell. Um, Subscribe to the audio show, even if you watch on YouTube. Just share that with people.
Mhm.
Um, that's it.
All right. Well, thank you again to Joey Cassata, who gave us what, an hour and 10 minutes of just hilarity. It was gold. There were times where you felt right here in the heart, in the feels, as Loki would say, where you felt for him. And then you go further and say, well, you know, I see his perseverance, his determination, and his drive, which is what I know Eddie, myself, and Loki, we're driving. We don't want to be second rate. Losing sucks, but sometimes you got to lose to learn how to win. Speaking of Loki, who is not here, you're sitting in his chair. Big ups to you. Get well. This show is not the same without you, but we did well tonight. I want to give you a lot of credit.
Despite some things,
Well,
but it's things I got to work out.
things that would require when I text Eddie the night before and say, "Don't forget your gear," and he forgets his gear. I want to thank my stepdaughter, Madison Fuller, who lent us her laptop tonight to record this show right here on YouTube for you folks. And if you're listening on audio only, go back. It doesn't have the gimmick up top right here where it says Logan Jabroni Show and all the gimmickry. Doesn't say anything down here about where you can find us on Twitter, which you can find me on Twitter at cburns19 at CBERNES 19. Where can they find you on Twitter?
You don't want to find me on Twitter.
He's at Eddie Focus.
I'm at
Just
Eddie Jakes.
same,
But
different. Or find the show at Loki and Jabroni, and let's have some fun. We'll be back here tomorrow night where you guys won't hear us, but we're recording bumpers for My Journey with Music. On Wednesday night, we'll be on what is it called? Google Hangouts,
it's on YouTube.
but it'll still be here live on YouTube. I was getting to that.
Yeah.
For C&J Speedway Review, a wild weekend in Atlanta, and we're going to be previewing Las Vegas. It's going to be a great weekend on the racing scene. But for tonight, guys, go out to your Amazon or to Joey Cassata on Facebook. Buy this book. If you like rock and roll, if you like wrestling, if you like Kiss, if you just like an uplifting story about a guy who came from nothing and made himself into something, Joey Cassata's story is for you. And like I said to my daughter earlier, I'm gonna blow 'em.
5 out of 5 stars.
Right.
I only have 4.3 out of 5 stars.
Well, you may be cool, Ed, but you're not playing wiffle ball with Kiss cool. All right? There's a difference. You see that?
Apparently Gene wasn't even that cool.
No, you can
Like,
see in this
balance-
picture, he's kind of
like-
doesn't know how to hold the bat.
It's like I don't want to hold this bat. I want to balance it on my nose.
You know what Gene needs? Gene needs Coach Chris, much like all those people that I've coached over the years. Gene needs Coach Chris. Oh, I will bury him. Well, there'll be no talk of holding the bat with two hands. Fuck you. Get your ass out there. Oh, I'll run him into the ground.
Leave him alone. He's on his third retirement.
Pretty much. Guys, love having you. We'll see you next week. Loki will be back and we'll have a topic for you to dig your teeth into. Eddie, send him out.
Have a wonderful night and see you next week.